My brothers and sisters, life will never always be easy. There will be days when you feel tired, disappointed, or even broken inside. But Allah has given you the strength to rise again. Happiness is not something that just happens. It is something you choose, something you work for, even when the storm is raging around you. Remember, the test is not in the comfort, the test is in the struggle. And in that struggle lies your reward. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces that can transform your entire outlook on life. When you wake up and the first thing you think about is what you don't have, your heart becomes heavy, your mind becomes restless, and your day begins with negativity. But when you start your morning by remembering the blessings Allah has already placed in your life, you begin to notice how much good surrounds you. The air you breathe, the sight in your eyes, the ability to walk, to speak, to hear, to think. These are all gifts that no amount of wealth can buy. Yet, because they are constant in our lives, we often forget their value. Gratitude teaches you to shift your focus from what is missing to what is present. It is an act of acknowledging that Allah's mercy has been with you every step of the way, even during the most difficult moments. The Prophet Muhammad taught us that the one who is not grateful to people is not grateful to Allah, meaning gratitude is not just a feeling. It's an action, a habit, a choice. When you practice gratitude, you train your heart to search for light even in the darkest times. You begin to see challenges not as punishments, but as opportunities to grow and to become stronger. Gratitude humbles you, because you realize that nothing you have is truly from your own effort. It is all from the one who created you, sustained you, and continues to protect you. The more you thank Allah, the more blessings He promises to increase for you. As stated in the Quran, if you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor. This increase is not always in the form of material gain. Sometimes it's in the form of peace in your heart, clarity in your decisions, or unexpected help when you need it most. Gratitude softens the heart and removes arrogance, because it reminds you that every achievement, every possession, and every moment of joy is part of Allah's generosity. Even when life is hard, there is always something to be grateful for. A lesson learned, a mistake avoided, a moment of safety, or even just the gift of being alive. When you make gratitude a daily practice, it changes your perspective on hardship. Instead of asking, why me? You start to say, Alhamdulillah for what remains. This shift in mindset allows you to hold on to happiness even when circumstances are painful. You stop comparing your life to others and start focusing on your own blessings. You realize that happiness is not about having more, but about appreciating what you already have. And the more you appreciate, the more contentment fills your heart. Until you find yourself smiling in moments where you once would have been crying, simply because you know that Allah has never stopped giving you reasons to be thankful. When life becomes overwhelming, one of the greatest sources of stress is focusing on things beyond your control. You can exhaust yourself trying to change situations, people, or outcomes that were never in your hands to begin with. This constant struggle drains your energy and robs you of your peace. But when you learn to focus on what you can control, you take back the power over your own thoughts, actions, and reactions. You may not be able to control how others treat you, but you can control how you respond. You cannot dictate the course of events in the world, but you can choose the way you perceive them, and the way you behave in the face of them. Islam teaches us to tie our camel, and then trust in Allah, meaning we must put in our best effort where we have the ability, and leave the rest to the one who knows what we do not. When you start to focus on what is within your control, you shift from a place of helplessness to a place of responsibility. You begin to work on improving your own character, building your skills, strengthening your faith, and making positive decisions that will benefit you and those around you. This mindset frees you from the anxiety of constantly worrying about outcomes, because you accept that results are in Allah's hands. It also helps you to avoid unnecessary conflicts and disappointments, because you stop expecting others to behave exactly as you wish. You learn patience when someone disagrees with you, compassion when someone falls short, and forgiveness when someone wrongs you, because you understand that you cannot change their hearts, only Allah can. This approach brings clarity, as you stop chasing what is impossible to control and start investing in the areas where you can truly make a difference. For example, you can't control whether a job opportunity will come your way, But you can prepare your skills, improve your qualifications, and make sincere dua. You can't control whether people will appreciate your efforts, but you can ensure that your intentions remain pure for the sake of Allah. By narrowing your focus to your own actions and choices, you protect your heart from disappointment, because your satisfaction comes from knowing you did your part. This also nurtures a deep sense of tawakkul, trust in Allah, because once you've done what you can, you surrender the outcome with a calm heart. You stop living in the past, regretting what you could not change, and you stop fearing the future, worrying about what might go wrong. Instead, you live in the present moment, fully engaged in doing what is right and beneficial now. This way of thinking reduces frustration and brings you closer to contentment, because you realize that peace is not found in controlling everything, but in controlling yourself in every situation. The people you surround yourself with have a profound effect on your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your happiness. When you keep the company of positive and righteous individuals, their words and actions naturally influence you to become a better version of yourself. Their optimism, patience, and faith can inspire you to see challenges as opportunities, and to maintain hope even in the most difficult times. Righteous companions remind you of Allah when you forget, encourage you when you feel weak, and correct you with kindness when you make mistakes. They do not feed your ego or lead you toward harmful paths. Instead, they guide you gently toward what benefits your soul. Being in the presence of such people strengthens your iman, because their behavior reflects the teachings of the Prophet, and their trust in Allah becomes a mirror for your own. Positive company also helps you avoid the traps of constant complaining, gossip, and negativity, because the conversations naturally revolve around beneficial topics and solutions, rather than problems and criticism. When you spend time with those who strive to improve themselves, you are motivated to do the same, simply because growth becomes the standard in your circle. This is why Islam places great emphasis on choosing friends wisely. As the Prophet said, "A person is upon the religion of his close friend, so each of you should look carefully at whom he takes as a friend." The influence of your companions is subtle but powerful. It shapes your thinking without you even noticing it. If you are surrounded by people who are always pessimistic, doubtful, or reckless, you may find your own mindset slowly reflecting theirs, even if you don't intend it. But if you keep company with those who have strong morals, pure intentions, and a hopeful attitude, you will naturally absorb their qualities. This doesn't mean your friends have to be perfect, but they should be people who push you toward goodness, honesty, and patience. When you are going through hardship, positive and righteous friends help you find perspective, reminding you that trials are temporary, and that Allah's mercy is always near. They do not let you drown in self-pity. Instead, they lift you up and help you focus on solutions and gratitude. Over time, the atmosphere you create around yourself becomes a shield that protects your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Even a single good companion can be a source of immense blessing, because they may be the one who encourages you to take a step toward Allah at a moment when you were feeling distant. Just as negativity spreads, so does positivity, and by choosing to be in the company of those who are sincere, kind, and uplifting, you protect your heart from unnecessary pain, and strengthen your resolve to keep moving forward with faith and hope. Complaining often feels like a natural response when things don't go the way we expect, but it rarely brings relief, and often magnifies the problem in our minds. Every time you complain, you give more power to what is wrong instead of seeking what can be made right. It traps you in a cycle of negativity, where your focus remains fixed on the difficulties, rather than the blessings that still exist around you. Islam teaches us to replace complaints with dua, because when you raise your hands to Allah, you are speaking directly to the one who can truly change your situation. Complaining to people may bring sympathy, but complaining to Allah brings solutions, guidance, and inner peace. The prophets, despite facing trials far greater than most of us will ever endure, did not spend their days complaining to others. They turned to Allah with their hearts full of faith. Prophet Yaqub Eca, when grieving the loss of his beloved son Yusuf ibn al-Arfi, said, "I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah," showing us that expressing our pain to Allah is not only allowed but encouraged. Dua transforms your mindset, because it shifts your attention from helplessness to hope. It reminds you that nothing is too small or too great for Allah's mercy. Instead of dwelling on how unfair life feels, dua directs your energy toward asking for strength, patience, and solutions that you may not even be able to imagine at the moment. Replacing complaints with hope also strengthens your gratitude, because as you make dua, you naturally reflect on the times Allah has helped you in the past. This builds trust in His plan, even if you can't see the wisdom behind your current trial. Complaining to people can sometimes spread negativity and cause frustration in others, but dua never harms anyone. It purifies your heart and deepens your connection with your Creator. Hope acts like light in a dark room. Even a small spark can begin to illuminate everything around it. When you choose hope over complaint, you train your mind to search for possibilities instead of problems. You begin to recognize that tests are part of growth, and that every difficulty carries with it an opportunity for reward, forgiveness, and elevation in the sight of Allah. Complaints drain your emotional strength, but hope replenishes it, because hope is rooted in the belief that Allah's help can come at any moment. This belief allows you to face challenges with resilience, knowing that your efforts are not wasted and your prayers are not ignored. Even if the situation does not change immediately, your heart changes. It becomes calmer, stronger, and more focused on what truly matters. Choosing to replace complaints with dua and hope is not about pretending that problems don't exist, but about deciding where you will invest your energy and faith, trusting that Allah hears every word you say, and understands even the pain you cannot express. Serving others is one of the most powerful ways to find joy and meaning in your own life. When you shift your focus from your own struggles to the needs of others, you discover a sense of purpose that cannot be matched by personal gain alone. Acts of service have a way of softening the heart, removing selfishness, and filling you with gratitude for what you already have. Islam teaches that helping others is a form of worship, an act that pleases Allah and earns His mercy. The Prophet Muhammad said that the most beloved people to Allah are those who are most beneficial to others, and the most beloved deed to Allah is bringing happiness to another believer. This shows that true success is not only measured by what we achieve for ourselves, but by how much we can ease the burdens of those around us. When you serve someone, whether by giving your time, your wealth, your skills, or simply your attention, you not only improve their day, but also improve your own state of mind. Helping others takes you out of the narrow tunnel of your own worries, and allows you to see life from a broader perspective. You begin to realize that, despite your own hardships, there are always people facing even greater challenges. This realization naturally nurtures gratitude in your heart, making you more content with your own circumstances. Service is not always about grand gestures or large donations. Sometimes it is a simple smile, a kind word, or a listening ear. The Prophet taught us that even removing a harmful object from the road is an act of charity. Small, sincere acts of kindness may seem insignificant, but they carry weight in the sight of Allah, and can leave lasting impressions on the hearts of those you help. When you consistently serve others, you create an atmosphere of compassion around you. People feel safe, valued, and uplifted in your presence, and this creates bonds of trust and love that enrich your life in ways material possessions never can. Serving others also has a powerful impact on your mental and emotional well-being. Studies have shown that acts of kindness release chemicals in the brain that promote happiness, reduce stress, and even improve physical health. From an Islamic perspective, these benefits are part of Allah's wisdom in encouraging us to care for each other. He knows that by serving others, we heal ourselves. When you help someone without expecting anything in return, you experience the purest form of joy, because it comes from giving without conditions. This form of happiness is more stable than the fleeting excitement that comes from personal gain, because it is tied to your character and values rather than your possessions or status. Another blessing of serving others is that it often leads to your own needs being fulfilled in unexpected ways. The Prophet said that whoever relieves a believer from one of the hardships of this world, Allah will relieve him from one of the hardships of the Day of Judgment. And whoever makes things easy for a person, Allah will make things easy for him in this world and the next. This promise from Allah should encourage us to make service a regular part of our lives, because every act of kindness has a way of returning to us in one form or another. Sometimes the help we offer is material, giving food to the hungry, money to the poor, or shelter to someone in need. Other times, it is emotional, offering comfort to the grieving, encouragement to the discouraged, or patience to someone who is struggling. In all cases, what matters most is the sincerity of your intention. If you serve others to seek recognition or praise, the reward is limited to what you receive in this world. But if you serve purely for the sake of Allah, the reward is multiplied and stored for you in the hereafter. Service also helps to cleanse the heart from envy and resentment. When you actively contribute to someone else's success or happiness, you begin to celebrate their blessings instead of comparing them to your own. This shift in mindset frees you from the constant dissatisfaction that comes from competition and comparison. You start to see others not as rivals, but as fellow travelers on the same journey, each with their own struggles and victories. Serving others also creates a ripple effect. Your kindness can inspire them to help someone else, and that person might go on to help another, creating a chain of goodness that continues far beyond what you can see. This is one of the reasons the Prophet compared good deeds to a seed. You plant it, but Allah causes it to grow in ways you cannot imagine. Even when life feels overwhelming, making time to serve others can give you a renewed sense of strength. It reminds you that your presence in this world has value beyond your personal goals, and that you have the power to make a positive difference, no matter how small. Service shifts your focus from what you lack to what you can give, and in that shift, you often find the happiness that seemed so elusive when you were only thinking about yourself. Many people spend their lives searching for happiness in possessions, status, or achievements, only to find that these things bring temporary satisfaction at best. But those who dedicate themselves to serving others often find a deeper, more lasting joy. This is because the act of giving aligns with our fitra, our natural disposition, which inclines us toward goodness, compassion, and connection. Allah created us to live in communities, to care for one another, and to support each other through the ups and downs of life. When you fulfill this role, you feel a sense of harmony within yourself, because you are living according to the purpose Allah has placed in your heart. Serving others is also a reminder of our own dependence on Allah. Just as someone benefits from your help today, you may be in need of someone else's help tomorrow. This awareness keeps you humble, knowing that all of us are in need of one another, and, above all, in need of Allah's mercy. It also teaches you to appreciate those who have helped you in the past, motivating you to pass on that kindness to others. The beauty of service is that it often costs you so little in comparison to the benefit it brings. A few minutes of your time might save someone hours of difficulty. A few words of encouragement might give someone the strength to keep going when they were about to give up. A small financial gift might mean survival for someone in desperate need. These acts may seem small in your eyes, but they can be enormous in the eyes of the person receiving them, and even greater in the eyes of Allah. The joy you find in serving others comes from knowing that you have contributed to making someone's life a little easier, a little brighter, or a little more hopeful. This joy does not depend on whether they thank you, recognize you, or repay you, because it is rooted in your intention and in your connection to Allah. When you serve with sincerity, every act becomes a form of worship, drawing you closer to your Creator, and filling your life with meaning and contentment. Trusting Allah's plan is one of the most profound acts of faith a believer can practice, especially in times when the path ahead feels uncertain, or when life does not go according to what you envisioned. It requires a deep conviction that Allah's knowledge encompasses everything, the seen and the unseen, the past, present, and future, and that His wisdom is far beyond our understanding. Often, we think we know what is best for ourselves, but our perspective is limited, confined to what we can see and experience in the moment. Allah, however, sees the entire picture of our lives, including the consequences of the things we wish for, and the hidden harm that could come from them. Trusting His plan means believing that every delay, every closed door, and every unexpected turn is part of a greater design that is ultimately for our benefit, even if it feels painful in the moment. The Quran reminds us that it may be that you dislike something while it is good for you, and it may be that you love something while it is bad for you, and Allah knows while you do not know. This is a powerful reminder that our emotions and desires do not always align with what is truly best for us. Trust in Allah is not about passively accepting life without effort. It is about doing your part with sincerity, tying your camel, and then leaving the outcome to Him with a heart at peace. It is about recognizing that success is not only defined by achieving what you want, but also by being guided toward what is best in the sight of Allah. This trust brings a sense of calm, because you no longer carry the unbearable burden of trying to control every outcome. Instead, you focus on your responsibilities, your actions, and your intentions, while knowing that the result will always be what Allah has decreed. When you trust Allah, you also learn patience. You understand that some prayers are answered immediately, some are delayed for a reason, and some are answered in a different way altogether. This patience allows you to endure hardships without falling into despair, because you believe that Allah's timing is always perfect. Even when something you prayed for does not come to pass, you accept that Allah has replaced it with something better, even if that better is not visible to you right now. Trusting His plan also frees you from constant worry about the future. You no longer feel paralyzed by the unknown, because you know that whatever comes will be something you are capable of handling with Allah's help. This mindset transforms fear into hope, because instead of imagining all the ways things could go wrong, you begin to imagine how Allah could open doors for you, in ways you never expected. It shifts your perspective from, "What if I fail?" to, "What if this is the start of something better than I imagined?" In moments of deep hardship, trust in Allah becomes a source of strength that keeps you moving forward. It reminds you that pain is temporary, but the lessons and rewards it brings can last a lifetime, or even an eternity in the hereafter. It allows you to see trials not as punishments, but as opportunities for growth, purification, and closeness to Allah. When you truly trust Allah's plan, you stop measuring your worth by worldly success or comparing your life to others, because you know that everyone's journey is different and tailored to what Allah knows is best for them. You also become more grateful, because you start to notice the subtle ways in which Allah has protected you from harm, guided you toward better choices, and provided for you at the right time. These moments of divine care strengthen your faith and remind you that you have never been alone in your journey. Trusting Allah's plan does not mean you will never feel sadness, disappointment, or frustration. These are natural human emotions. It means that even in those emotions, you hold on to the certainty that Allah is with you, and that His plan is unfolding in the best way possible. It means that when you cry in your sujood, you cry knowing that your tears are seen, your pain is known, and your prayers are heard. Over time, this trust becomes second nature, a constant undercurrent in your life that steadies you no matter what storms you face. It helps you to live with a heart that is both humble and hopeful. Humble because you acknowledge that you do not control everything, and hopeful because you know that the one who does control everything is the most merciful and the most loving. This kind of trust can transform your life, because it removes the heavy burden of trying to predict or manipulate the future, and replaces it with the lightness of surrendering to the will of the one who loves you more than you love yourself. It also inspires you to make decisions with confidence, because you are no longer paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. You know that if your intention is sincere, and your effort is genuine, Allah will guide you to what is best or protect you from what is harmful. Even in the moments when nothing makes sense, trust in Allah reminds you that you are exactly where you are meant to be, learning exactly what you are meant to learn, and moving toward exactly what Allah has written for you. This trust gives you the courage to keep walking, even when the path is unclear, because you know that your destination is not determined by your vision, but by Allah's perfect wisdom.